It is 1 o'clock. Good afternoon from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Jackson Williams. The Titans making a flurry of practice squad moves yesterday as they released running back Jaquez Patrick from the practice squad. Team also signing linebacker Joseph Jones and running back Jonathan Ward to the practice squad. Ward returns to the Titans after signing to the P squad in December of 2022. Ward was brought back this past offseason and had a shot to make the Titans roster before he suffered an injury and was waived. Around the NFL, a couple players added to IR yesterday. The Panthers add safety Jeremy Chin, and the Cardinals adding tight end Zach Ertz with a quad strain. He is believed to make a return this season. The Preds on the ice, they lose 3-2 to the Vancouver Canucks. Their next game is this Saturday at Bridgestone Arena, taking on the Toronto Maple Leafs. The NBA back in action last night with two games to kick the season off. Nuggets down the Lakers 119-107. Nikola Jokic scoring a triple-double in his first game back after the title. 29 points, 13 rebounds, 11 assists for the Joker. Suns beat the Warriors 108-104. Devin Booker in midseason form, scoring a game-high 32 points to go along with 8 assists. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, you need to visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Blade and Mickey 104.5. So what's up? What's going on? Happy hump day to everybody.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Man, it's nice and sunny, man. I enjoy my, man, what date is it? I always get confused. October 25th.
25th?
Man, it's almost November, and it's like 70 degrees outside.
It's supposed to be 80
Ooh-wee.
for like 5 days in a row coming up.
Oh, I know you are a weatherman. So it's going to be warm all this, alumni weekend, high school football Friday night.
All of that.
Saturday, Sunday.
And then it's going to
Titans
poop
game.
the bed on Halloween, and the kids are going to freeze to death.
Oh, my.
That's when it's going to get cold.
What's going to happen?
Yep.
Okay.
But alumni weekend, dude, you'll be out there with Donald Mitchell and the crew.
The Oiler right here today. I think I'm going to wear some Oiler every day from here on out. It just made me think.
I want you to wear one of your old jerseys.
I will not be doing that.
That would be phenomenal.
That would be hilarious.
I want that so bad.
That would be hilarious.
What about just for like a segment? You don't have to do the whole show. Just
man, I don't know, man. Maybe
it'd be form fitting. You could do some push-ups before you put it on.
I don't know because my guns have definitely been deflated over the time here. Just trying to so. Nah. But maybe we'll do a bet, and then if I lose, I'll wear the jersey. I've never worn a jersey. I've been right to Levis.
I want you to wear. So Sunday, the way they do, because it's Alumni Day, so all your favorite, everybody is going to be back. People are saying it's going to be the biggest one, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing. Yeah, over 150.
So the biggest one. It would be cool if, and I know they'd never do it. But if they were like, Blaine, here's 23 Oilers jerseys, wear this.
Oh.
To all of you guys, Bruce, here's 74. For everybody who was an Oiler.
Who came back. Well, that'd be a lot of Oiler jerseys coming back. But maybe just make some of the guys who were captains or something.
I would lose my mind if that happened. I'm already beside myself with excitement to see those uniforms on the field because I just think they're the best.
I don't even know if I have a jersey besides framed, which I have multiple, but I may have one sitting around somewhere. Maybe one in the back of a closet.
One day, Tony Kemp came in and hung out with us, and he brought you a jersey. And you're
right. Yeah.
And you said, I brought you one. It was a white Oilers 23 jersey. And I was like, dude, you still have some of those? And you're like, I don't think I have any left.
Yeah. I had about like 12 of them, and then through time, it's kind of, I think they're all gone.
Oh.
Yeah.
Except one in a frame.
Well, no, I have multiple.
Okay, so you got some in a frame then, Oilers jerseys. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, but I would have to take it down, take it apart, put it back. I don't know if I really want to do all that. That's why it's in the frame. So it was fun. But you know what? Actually, just, I may do something every day that's Oiler related. I may post, like me in my Oiler uniform, and I got a frame deal where all my football cards when I was an Oiler on there. I may post that.
Okay.
Maybe during the break.
Need to see all that. So just go ahead and start posting it.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm 100% in for that. I'm in for you wearing the jersey, although if you only have them in frames, I guess you can't do that.
Yeah, that'd be rough sledding. But if I find one, I'll do it for chuckles. But
maybe Tony Kimba's listening. He could wear his Blaine Bishop jersey.
Yeah. I got his stuff framed too, man.
For Oilers Week. People could get their. I wonder how many people bought a Bayard Oilers jersey.
Oh wow, it's probably a lot. Yeah, probably a lot. And he's a fan favorite, and he's a great player, great human being. So it's it's really tough. I mean, I get it. Did you see the Philadelphia Eagles Twitter handle when they show him walking through, getting out of his car? Did you see how he was smiling and laughing?
Yeah.
Yeah, he said, "You saved me." That's what he was saying. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And at the end of the day, it's because he has an opportunity. What else can he accomplish as a player? Only one thing left is to get the ring.
That's it.
So he's done every little step of the way. I've been the peak. I've been all pro. Been on bad teams, good teams, medium teams. Now I need to be on a Super Bowl contending team because we all know nothing is guaranteed in this league. So he'll have a shot at that. So that's really awesome. And really, that was my ultimate goal. I never really. Goal was never to make Pro Bowls or All Pro for me personally. It was always be the best individual I could be, and then I wanted to get a ring.
Yeah,
I wanted green at the utmost. I wanted to get that thing so bad because that's not a lot of people could say. Not only did they play in the Super Bowl, but they won a Super Bowl, got a Super Bowl ring. That's pretty special. You're 1% of athletes that's probably playing that ever played. So,
and I've told you this. I have a friend who played 5 games for the Ravens.
Oh, and you just ate me a lot, and he got a ring. Yeah, I know a guy as a buddy of mine. I see him at a lot of NFL events. And he's got like 2, and he was like a backup. Like the entire time, like he was barely in the league, and he just laughs because he knows it eats at me. Yeah, because he'll have him on in all events. And I'm like, yeah, I don't want to name names. I'm like, you sure you were on the roster? I don't remember you playing against us. He said, "Oh, I know, because I was just running down on special team."
Yeah.
I get spot play here or there. I look at you and say, "Hey, you way over there."
He was like, "What's after dime?" I was that guy. Nickel, dime. I was the quarter.
He has no idea. I probably would. I wanted one single tear just to fall down. Yeah, that hurt. It hurt. It really does. So, but yeah, man. So this is going to be a fun time, but it's always interesting when it comes to the Titans, whether who's going to be the starting quarterback, who's going to be the next player traded, if anybody. We don't know yet, but man, I don't know what is going on with Vrabel, but I'm confused now. 1 minute is both going to play. National media says Will Levis is going to probably be the starter, or kind of alluded that that's who's going to be the starter.
Yeah,
it was
that was
pretty
a
clear.
report from Rap Sheet.
Then Vrabel comes back today and says that both are still going to play, right?
He said
it all counts with if Tannehill can't go, which everybody believes Tannehill can't go. Tannehill did an interview today, and he was standing there with, I guess, a little sleeve on there, calf down, so don't know where he's at as far as practicing or being prepared. But I'm assuming that one of the young guys are going to go. And you tweeted, we tweeted out, I guess, from the Blaine and Mickey, who would you prefer to see?
Yeah, that is because I got that pulled up here. Our man Joseph on the quick draw earlier this morning, like, hey, let's get something out about this. How are we feeling about the news from Rap Sheet that rookie quarterback Will Levis is expected to start against the Falcons this weekend? And Vrabel got asked, there's a report that Will Levis is starting. He said, I never said that. Which could be true. I never said that.
No, I know it could be.
He's like, I never said that.
No, I mean he's got an out right here regardless. Yeah, because he didn't say that. Everybody heard him say that. That doesn't mean it's not true. Because he could just say, I'm going to play Will Levis the entire game in my mind, but right now I'm not really putting that out there. So I don't know where they got the information.
88% love it that Will Levis is reported to start. 5% say should have been Malik. 7% say other. You gotta have a third option. Other. So more other than 5% should have been Malik. Jael said, okay, if this gets us the first round, the first pick in the draft, I'm all for it. I don't think they're going to be that bad. Now, I don't know how many more games they'll win. I don't know if they'll be bad enough to get the first pick. If you're going to take a quarterback, I mean, you probably have to have, the first or the second pick to get Caleb Williams or Drake May.
Right.
Now, if you had the third pick and you got the receiver, Marvin Harrison's son, that'd be pretty good.
Watch this. When you need a tackle.
Then if you had the fourth pick,
you're in a conflict like, oh my gosh.
But if you were the fourth pick, you could get the best tackle.
Right. No, I think that's what's going to happen. It's going to be real tough to say that they're going to be a top 5. I can't even envision that right now, but probably right outside of that or something.
They're number 9 right now. I looked.
Yeah. I looked at some of the other teams. I don't know if they can get into the top 5. I'm not sure. If they do, boy, that means the wheels fell off. And I don't believe Vrabel type teams just that the wheels are going to fall off. If it does, it'll be more so they lose a whole bunch of close games.
Yeah.
And did it come out that they had one of the easiest schedules remaining?
Yeah.
Per however those are metriced out,
but,
yes.
I mean, I'm looking at
I don't think they're easy. I was saying that before the season, Joe, but now,
I'm looking at the schedule right now, and some of these road games are tough. At Pittsburgh on a short week Thursday night, at Jacksonville, at Miami.
What sounds easy about any of that?
Nothing.
Okay.
Nothing.
Because they saw the Texans seeing it before the season, I could say, oh, okay, they're going to win both of those. Now I'm like, I don't know. I have no idea. What do you think, Joe, when you see the Texans? And
CJ Stroud looks good.
I got a chance to see him.
Because the rumors on draft day were that Titans were going to try and trade up and try and grab CJ, and then the Texans ended up taking him. Then they traded up to get Will Anderson, which are 2 really good picks. Man, I kind of wish they would have found a way to did that because he looks good right now. I don't know how his career is going to turn out, but right now he's the only healthy quarterback left. Well, I guess Trevor Lawrence is healthy, quotes, but he's playing with a knee. But looked good on Thursday night.
Yeah, the couple times he picked up 3rd and 15 when he ran, he looked fine on those plays. So. Everything was working on those plays. Yeah, like you said, you host the Falcons this week. Then you go to at Pittsburgh in 4 days. Then at Buccaneers. Then you have to go to at Jacksonville. You have 3 straight road games. In Pittsburgh, where Pittsburgh is like a home game for them everywhere they go. At Buccaneers, who are 3-3. At Jags, who are running away with the division right now. Then you get the Panthers here, and you think, okay, surely to goodness, that's when you can take care of business. Then you host the Colts. Then you have to go to Miami. Then you host the Texans. Then the Seahawks come here. Seahawks aren't pushovers. They're 4-2. Then at Texans, and then you finish here with the Jags. I mean,
that sounds easy to me.
It doesn't sound easy.
Now, I get if you were predicting before the season, thought everybody was going to be,
rookie quarterbacks
and all that.
Jags going to jag.
I mean, you're starting to watch games, you're going, I don't know. This is going to be a really close coin toss type game. And then these quarterbacks are going to be better as they go along. They're going to continue to grow in their mistakes, and they're going to get smarter, decision-making. Never know who may be missing and who may be available, though.
That's true. Well, I was trying to think of how to say this because I don't want to sound dramatic. But it's Wednesday, and by next Tuesday, it's crazy to think how much different this team could be based on the trade deadline and who could go. Derrick Henry could go. Kevin Byard's already gone. Will Levis could be your starting quarterback. Like, a lot could change.
Or D-Hop even, too.
Yes. D-Hop, D-Ott. Yeah, I mean, like, a bunch of dudes could be gone. I mean, there was a report, Jordan Schultz, who seems to know somebody here.
What'd he say before we go to break?
Jordan Schultz. Everyone really is available on the Titans ahead of the trade, and that starts with Derrick Henry and DeAndre Hopkins. And Schultz has known some stuff that's happening around here.
Oh, no, he's been pretty much on point.
That was the quote. Everyone really is available on the Titans ahead of the trade deadline, and that starts with Derrick Henry and DeAndre Hopkins. So
makes you question who's going to be playing on Sunday.
I would just hold off buying that Oilers jersey with somebody just yet. I'd wait till next Wednesday to buy it. Then you know who's going to wear it the next time.
Oh, no, they're going to still be available. All people who are you just named us on the trade list, they play it.
Oh, people be like, I'll get the one on discount after they trade this guy. Go get me a buyer 50% off.
I love the person who could go tell Vrabel, hey, man, don't play this guy, this guy, this guy. And they're your star players because, we know we finalize what we're going to do. Because then, if not, It won't be fun because he can't pass that physical. So there's a power beat. There's like, what are you going to do?
Well, they need to get done today then.
If I don't see King Henry in that early uniform on Sunday, I'll be stunned. They couldn't have waited to afterwards.
If they play this
He won't
game,
be the only one.
if he gets traded before this game, and people have waited to see him in this.
They go live. There's no way.
How empty would that stadium be?
It won't be empty, but people will
compared to if he was there.
people will be pissed. They're going to be pissed.
They're gonna come see some. Yeah, they're gonna come see some alumni.
Well, they'll be happy to see
Mike Renfro.
They'll be happy to see the alums. That's right. We're always happy to see Blake Toppmeyer. Let's talk some college football. Then we'll come back. Phones are ringing. We know you want to talk. Let's talk to Blake, and then we'll talk to you guys. Blake Toppmeyer, SEC reporter for the USA Today, coming up next. If you could sit in your new lake house, you'd be comfortable all day. Heck, you'd be comfortable there for the rest of your life. Why don't you get yourself the lake property you've been dreaming of? Time's running out, though. Saturday, October 28th, here is your chance to get these deals, to get the deal, the thing, and you've been waiting to buy. They got 2-acre wooded lots from $64,000. They got Lake Villa packages from $349,000. They got Sunset waterfront lots, $50,000 off. This is all about 20 minutes from Knoxville. It's right up the road. This is your lake living experience that you've been dreaming about. And they got a marina and a resort and walking trails and shoreline and a clubhouse. So you got the serenity of the lake and all the modern stuff that makes it the kind of place that you want to go hang out with your family and your friends. Again, this is a one-time only deal, though. You got to call, secure a private tour appointment today. They got limited times to make this happen. Limited property release, Saturday, October 28th. Go to lakelivingtn.com now. Get more info or just call. They'll tell you everything. 865-408-9992. Invest in something real lake living in Tennessee. Blaine and Mickey, 104.5 The Zone. Just smoothly taking you through a Wednesday afternoon. College football season is like Vanderbilt has 4 games left. Most teams have 5. Some have 4. The season's getting away from us, so we need to know what's going on in the SEC and college football. So who better to check in with than our man Blake Toppmeyer? Blake, it's been too long. How in the world
Blake,
are you?
What's going on?
I'm doing well. Thanks, guys.
Yes, sir. Good having you on. For the longest time, there's been this discussion, Blake, about what is pass interference, right, in college football and pro football. Now it feels like we're having this crisis in college football. What's a fair catch? Can you tell us?
Well, I think we're learning more about it, right? Like Josh Heupel said, somebody pointed their finger to the sky and was flagged for imitating a fair catch. But yeah, that's it's kind of news to me. But I'm learning a lot of things this week. I actually didn't. Maybe I should have known, but I didn't know that someone associated with a football program could not go to another team's game and scout. I mean, this is all seeming very strange to me. Like when I played high school basketball, you could always look up into the stands and there would be an opposing coach, sometimes multiple opposing coaches scouting your team.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. You can do that in high school basketball, but not in college football. Like, should we be surprised that people were doing this? Come on.
I think there are just people in college football who are doing anything they can to hit the ejector seat on Jim Harbaugh. He is just on people's blacklist for some reason, that dude.
Well, and it's very much like the NCAA to get something like this just caught in their craw, right? Like they can't really adjudicate any of the important stuff going on in college sports. So someone, is engaged in sign stealing, which every team does to a certain extent, right? Like, I mean, it seems like Michigan went to more elaborate lengths to steal signs, but sign stealing's been going back in college football for many, many decades. So yeah, I'm kind of floored, not by the sign stealing, but by just the sweeping reaction to this. Like, I mean, my response was sort of like, oh yeah, stealing signs, kind of figured.
I mean, it's like NASCAR. If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
That's pretty much the way it goes.
Blake Toppmeyer, guest at B Toppmeyer on Twitter, SEC for USA Network. Just one more quick one. What do you make of Tennessee's woes on the road? Like Connor O'Gara of Saturday Down South outlined it. They've had like 5 true road games. He didn't count the bowl game, but other than Vandy, they've lost the games and like all the numbers are bad. What do you make of this?
Yeah, well, I put a twist on Connor's way of putting it there because I say Tennessee has lost their last 4 road games because playing at Vanderbilt is a home game for Tennessee. It's a home game.
Oh, man.
For anybody who comes in there. So Tennessee's lost their last 4 road games, and I think it's to the point where we got to make something of this, right? Like, I mean, once could be a coincidence, twice, maybe it's to the point where it's a problem. And it's not that they're losing to the Alabamas of the world. They lost last year, to South Carolina, a mediocre South Carolina team. Then this year in the Swamp. I think the particularly stinging part for Tennessee fans is this. When is Florida going to be more beatable in the Swamp than they are this year? When is a Nick Saban Alabama team going to be more beatable in Bryant-Denny Stadium than they are this year? Like, it's not just that Tennessee lost those games. It's that they had every opportunity, particularly on Saturday. You go into halftime with a 2-touchdown lead. You're dominating the game. Like, Tennessee didn't have to play a great second half to win. They didn't even have to play a good second half. I think if they play an average second half, they'd probably win that game. Alabama turned it up, and I don't know if Tennessee just thought they had the game won. I don't know if the moment got too big for them and they kind of crumbled under the pressure or what. I mean, Alabama does deserve credit. I thought they made some good adjustments. They played really well in the second half, hit some big shots on offense. That defensive line and the edge rushers got really disruptive. Those guys are good players. However, I mean, something seemed off about Tennessee after halftime. Again, I don't know if they let off. I kind of tend to think maybe it was the other way, and they sort of realized, oh, hey, we can we can beat these guys, and just sort of crumbled by the pressure of being able to win. I mean, guys always say they think they can win games, but you had to wonder in the back of their head, they think like, well, we're playing Alabama on the road, and then all of a sudden you actually have a chance to win. That can play on the psyche a little bit. Now, we can say like, well, Tennessee beat them last year, so why would that have, felt pressuresome to them? Well, that was a different team last year, right? And they had guys that sort of rose to the moment in those pressure-packed situations. I don't think this team has that. I think they're missing those guys that when the moment gets bigger, their play elevates. Tennessee sort of shrinks from the moment.
Blake Toppmeyer never shrinks from the moment. At B Toppmeyer on Twitter, SEC for USA Today. That's what he covers and where.
No doubt, Blake. Naturally, a lot of fans are upset, whether it's the fourth down play or the referee play, calling on, different plays wrong or what so have you. But what do you think about Heupel so far and his legacy, I guess, at Tennessee? Because a lot of fans saying he's not the guy to get him over the hump. Like, he can get him to 9 wins, but he's not a guy that can take him to the national championship. And I beg to differ. I don't know if we have enough data to even tell us that he is or isn't.
It's amazing, isn't it? I was on a different radio show yesterday and was asked if I was surprised that Tennessee fans, some Tennessee fans have turned on Heupel so quickly.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And I just kind of laughed and said, no, I'm familiar with Tennessee fans. So I'm not surprised in that sense. But I do think it's fair to be frustrated because of what I said earlier. It's not just that they lost to Florida and Alabama. It's that Florida and Alabama were gettable this year. This was a moment. So I get why fans are upset. But then we get into like crazy land where, we're talking about Heupel's not the guy, time to move on. He's hit his ceiling. I'm with you. I don't know if he's hit his ceiling yet or not. And I think this whole conversation sort of changes when we get into a 12-team playoff era. Like Tennessee absolutely can make the college football playoff with Josh Heupel as its coach. We know that because last year's team would have been a playoff team in a 12-team format under Heupel. And so I think this whole thing changes in that 12-team format, because if you make the playoff, you have a chance. Now, I know it's not like the NCAA tournament where like, a 16 can beat a 1. I get that. But again, we know Tennessee can make a 12-team playoff with Heupel, and that changes this whole equation. We don't know what Nico's going to be. I'd be curious to see more of him. If Tennessee were, to lose to Kentucky on Saturday, I don't think they will, but if they did, I would advocate making that change and playing for the future, because it's very possible still that the future is bright for Tennessee. Does that mean national championship bright? I don't know. Let's see what these next couple recruiting classes look like. And also, I think the most realistic landing place for Tennessee this year is probably 8-4, 9-3. And if you would have asked me before the season what Tennessee was going to do this year, I would have said 9-3 or 8-4. So I think they're actually going to finish somewhere around what reasonable expectations were. When you lose Hendon Hooker, Jalen Hyatt, Darnell Wright, I think you had to expect a small step back this year. There's only so many programs out there, Georgia and Alabama sort of top the list, where they can send off a lot of star talent to the draft in a particular year, and then the next year looks like they didn't lose anybody. And there's not very many programs like that. Even LSU, we think about their 2019 team. They sent all those dudes to the draft. Then what happened? They regressed horribly for a couple years. So there was always going to be a little bit of a step backward this year, I think. I understand why fans are disappointed. However, it doesn't mean there can't be another step forward in the future.
No doubt about it. We're with Blake Toppmeyer, SEC columnist. I guess one more. So I guess you're saying that Tennessee is going to beat Kentucky this weekend. Is that what you're saying too as well?
I think so. The shine has come off of Kentucky. It feels like a bit of a typical Kentucky season where they come sprinting out of the gates against a pretty weak schedule. They get humbled by Georgia, and then we think, oh, here's a chance against Tennessee where they can prove that they actually are a good team. and most times Tennessee beats them. Like it sort of feels like a familiar narrative for Kentucky. I also wonder, maybe I'm overthinking this, but remember what Mark Stoops said after they got blown out by Georgia? He was pandering to fans in the crowd and donors. He wanted more money for NIL. And, I mean, basically the message he sent was, I don't have good enough players. I need more NIL money so I can go out and buy some more. Now I'm paraphrasing there, but anybody that heard that message.
Mm-hmm.
Well, sometimes those things get back to your team too. And I don't think Mark Stoops was intending it that way, but you have to wonder, like if I'm on that roster and I hear my coach saying that we don't have as good of players as Georgia, give me more money so I can buy better players. How does that make me feel if I'm on that team? So I have to wonder, if that didn't play on the psyche of Kentucky's locker room, because something seemed off about them in that Missouri game. I mean, I know they got out to a lead, and then they just fell apart. I mean, they just disintegrated, and I wonder how they come back from that. I don't know. Maybe they bounce back. Usually they treat Tennessee like the Super Bowl, as well they should. But I think a team like Missouri actually is probably the bigger threat to Tennessee than Kentucky is, because I think Missouri is actually a good team.
Yeah.
I think Kentucky was like fake good, masquerading as a good team for the first few weeks of the season.
All right, I got to ask you this since we're in prediction mode. This is the last year, I guess, of the 14 playoff, right? So who, at this point in time, do you think are going to be the 4 teams?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Okay, I'll ride with Georgia and say that they get in. Florida State, I've liked them from the start, still like them. So that's 2. Someone's getting in from the Big Ten. If the NCAA doesn't just disband Michigan's program, I'll say Michigan gets in. So that's a 3rd. And then do I go to the Pac-12 or do I go to the Big 12 for my 4th? I'm going to say the Pac-12 beats up on each other. There's some landmines out there for Washington. They are not out of the thicket yet. The month of November is going to be really hard on them. Then they got the Pac-12 championship. I actually think this one, I guess if I'm going with a bold one, I don't know how bold it is. I'd say Texas runs the table. They beat Oklahoma in a rematch to win the Big 12 championship.
Yeah.
And they claim the 4th spot.
Like it.
Yeah, that plays. I think you may have just come up with a very working scenario there. So I had a whole lot written down, and we're running low on time, but I think I'll start with this one just because this will have interest, because this program has fans here, and this area also has people who hate the thought of this. I was looking at your Twitter and reading some of your recent work. Nick Saban's having a really good time. All this talk about, he's near the end. You're not buying that now, is that right?
I'm not totally buying it, and I maybe would have in April. We heard the narrative. Everybody heard the murmurs in April that like Saban's kind of over this, that he wasn't really into this age of college football, and he frankly Saban poured fuel on the fire of that narrative. Like if we think back to the off season, he was grumbling about the imbalanced effects of NIL. He was complaining about the possibility of Alabama's future 9-game schedule. I mean, it really was. We saw the sanctimonious side of Nick Saban. We saw the grumpy side of Saban, and I was thinking at that time, like, he just kind of had enough of this. And then the season arrived, and it's like a weight has been lifted off his shoulders once the game started being played. I mean, it's like he's been rejuvenated by this team. I mean, he's smiling, he's having fun. He's out there, stuffing a cigar in his mouth, running and thanking the fans on Saturday. Now, some people could say, like, he's just enjoying the final tour, right? This is victory lap. I don't know. I mean, I do think that this seems to have rejuvenated him. I think he likes coaching this team. Now, I think he would tell you, if he's being honest, he knows this is not one of his best teams. Now, that's not to say that Alabama's devoid of talent. They got a lot of studs out there, but it's not one of his top 10 teams, I don't think. Certainly not one of his top 5. But I think he likes the resiliency of this group. I think he likes the way they've improved. And sometimes, coaches are wired a little differently than fans. Sometimes I think their favorite teams are not necessarily their best teams. And I don't know. I just look at the way Saban's coaching this year. He seems to be enjoying himself. He doesn't seem to me to be a guy who's done. And let's face it, he's only turning 72 on Halloween. I know I say only 72, but I don't want to get political. But when we have the highest office in the land being held by someone at that age, who says you can't be a college football coach at age 72 and beyond? I think he can, and I think Alabama should hope that that's what he wants to do, is continue coaching for a few more years. Because as I look at the list of potential replacements for Saban, if he were to hang up the whistle after this season, I think that list is about as short as it's ever been. I mean, it used to be topped by Dabo Swinney, but forget about that. I mean, Dabo's completely out of touch. Just cross that name off.
Blake Toppmeyer, our guest at Toppmeyer on Twitter.
All right, Blake, before we let you go, you'll squeeze it in. What's going on in Arkansas and what's going on at A&M? I mean, kind of break it all down to us in a couple minutes.
No one had Enos envy, that's for sure.
Ooh. A&M, same old story there. And there's no more cards for Jimbo to play, right? I mean, he's played to change the offensive coordinator card. This is just, I think, what Jimbo and A&M are married together. They're the face of mediocrity. The only reason he has his job is because the $77 million buyout. There's no other way he would be employed at A&M right now. And so it's just A&M has to make the decision. Do they want to pass the hat and see if they can come up with $77 million? Most schools couldn't even have that conversation. A&M's one of just a handful that I think could at least entertain it. They've been reckless with this contract with Jimbo every step of the way. In fact, the reason we have these contracts in college football, these fully guaranteed 10-year deals with these buyouts that are, 6-7 times the size that they were, even just 5-6 years ago, is because of Texas A&M. They were the trendsetter with that contract with Jimbo. So they've thrown financial caution into the wind at every step of the way. And so it really would just be apropos if they break the record for the biggest buyout. They're going to do it at some point. They're going to fire him at some point. I don't know whether it's going to be this year or next year, but they're not just going to, especially when Texas comes into the conference.
Yes.
You think they're going to be fine going 7-5 when Texas doing it? It's a matter of when, not if, with Jimbo. With Sam Pittman, I think he's played a card that could potentially save him. Usually a struggling coach gets to one time play the card from the hand of blame the coordinator. I made a bad coordinator hire. I got to fire my coordinator, but everything's going to be fine once I get the right guy in there. You can only play that card once. But Sam Pittman had not played that card before. His hire of Dan Enos was a disaster, didn't work. If Arkansas's offense shows some life, shows some improvement in the aftermath of Dan Enos' firing, he becomes a really convenient fall guy. The narrative changes. The narrative then becomes Pittman made a bad hire, but if he gets the hire right next time, this thing can still work. So I think how this offense looks over the next few weeks, that has the potential to save Sam Pittman, because that's a narrative you can get behind, and you can get behind that trump card of firing your coordinator.
Yeah.
Blake, fantastic stuff, man. At Toppmeyer, again, covering the SEC for USA Today. Tons of good stuff, always great content from you, and always great having you on the radio.
Yeah, sounds good. Good talking to you guys.
Yes,
Thanks
sir.
a lot, Blake. Yeah.
All right, we'll pick it up from there. Questions, comments, phone lines open, 615-737-1045. What did Mike Vrabel say about his backup quarterbacks today and how they might be used? You will want to hear this next.
What? Now that fall has arisen, yes, and it is here, that doesn't necessarily mean your to-do list is. The Cool Ray team is here to help, and they'll waive the service fee if your visit requires a repair. So if you're having a plumbing problem that popped up out of nowhere, their plumbing team has you covered. Have an electrical issue you've been putting off for a long time? Well, the electrical team at Cool Ray can be there for you as well. And of course, if you have an HVAC unit that's starting to struggle, they can repair that all while waiving the service fee. You can still save up to $1,250 on brand new Tempstar home comfort systems. Plus, they boost a 10-year parts and labor warranty on new Tempstar home comfort systems. So schedule your next visit online at coolray.com. No phone call, no wait, no worries. You pick the date and time that works for you. That's coolray.com.
Blaine and Mickey, 104.5 The Zone. So there was a report this morning from Ian Rappaport that the Titans are going to start Will Levis. So then Mike Vrabel just happened to have a press conference at 11 a.m. today. So the audio we have is him getting asked, because he was asked directly by one of the reporters. So there's a report that Levis is going to start. He said, I never said that. The audio we have is, so somebody said, so you're still going to play both guys? How are you going to do that? Is that what we've got?
That is.
So he explained the different ways that he could play both guys.
We'll figure out the game plan as we work through the week. We may run the plays in with them. It could be by series, could be every 2 series. It could have certain things that we like. We'll see where where Ryan is, and but again, I'm excited if Ryan can't play that both we'll get a look at both of those quarterbacks, and we'll need both of them to help us win, and Falcons are doing some really good things.
You don't buy the adage that if you have 2 quarterbacks, you don't have a quarterback?
No, I don't buy that adage. We got 3 on the roster, and we'll see where Ryan is with his ankle, and go from there.
Blaine, you know me. I'm a historian. If we start talking about things, sometimes I'll be like, in the 50s, you know how I am about history. You grew up a Cowboys fan, but this was BB before Blaine. When Roger Staubach, who graduated from the Naval Academy, and he was in the Navy, and he served a long time in the Navy, I think 6 years. Before he got to the Cowboys, when he gets to the Cowboys, they have a quarterback named Craig Morton, who would later go on to quarterback the Broncos against the Cowboys in the Super Bowl. That may be like one of the first things you remember, because rookie Tony Dorsett goes and wins the Super Bowl his first year after winning the Heisman Trophy at Pitt the year before. Well, at one point, Craig Morton and Craig Morton and Roger Staubach were teammates. And Landry kept rotating them. Like, Morton would take in a play, come off. Staubach would take in a play, come on. Mike Vrabel just hinted at that happening. There's no way in the year of our Lord, 2023, that the quarterbacks would take in the plays.
Yeah, I won't go back that far. I'm trying to remember where I've seen something like this, but it really sounds crazy in the pros. He even alluded, he said at first, they may run him plays, and I'm like, he's joking us. I mean, now he's messing with.
I mean, seriously?
He did, and then he kind of went on like every other series, So, just me personally, not unless if you're going to go down the road of Will Levis, you got to stick with him all the way through the mistakes and ups and downs, because that's who you want to be the quarterback. Pretty much what Malik Willis is. He may can improve a little bit more to solidify that he is a number 2 quarterback in this league, but I don't think you think that he can be your guy. So if you're going with Will Levis, to me, you just stick with him, even through the ups and downs. And this is one thing I don't like about coaching is if you don't let a young player go out there and fail, and then yank them. I mean, what was the purpose for that? So to me, you want to see how he responds from his failures, and that means his mistakes, whether it's a bad play. And it's going to pain you as a coach because you think you may have a better option. Well, if you think Malik Willis is a better option, then you should have played him from the jump. So if you turn the page, then let him go out there and make a mistake and learn and just have conversations, and hopefully he continues to improve throughout the actual game. This is his first NFL start in a regular season game, by the way. This is not no preseason. As Malik Willis saw, now that he's improved, he still hadn't improved enough to be a star in this league because things was moving really fast for him. Mm-hmm. He had no idea that he was going to get hit like that, and he had to run. So to me, you let him, as painful as a coach and his teammates, you got to let him go through the ups and downs and kind of live with this, the next week or so or whenever you think Tannehill is going to be back. And then at some point, if he's out longer than like 4 weeks or so, you start saying, hey, man, I'm going to just keep going down this road and keep improving these young quarterbacks. But I'm not in it for every other series type stuff.
What in the world?
Because you got to get into a rhythm as a quarterback, and I just don't see that. Yeah. Now, you could play it by ear and say, okay, I'm going to let a guy go, and then, all right, he's kind of slowed down, and you want to put the other one out there. And, he may look at it as like competition. I don't. Like, that's what some coaches do, try to pit them. Not in the pros, but like at practice maybe in the pros, but not in the actual real game. And they're young, and so, yeah, I'm not a big proponent for that. I'm just not. I want to see. Will Levis is your guy. You drafting. You moved up. It was your call too. Let's see what he got. And then if he gets injured, Malik Willis goes in. If you're going to go down that road and let him make his mistakes and come to the sideline and explain to him what
coach
happened.
him up.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. If you're going to do it, I'm not. Yeah, this in and out. Yeah, no. I'm not big at that into pro level.
That was 50 years ago.
No, you can do that in college.
Sure, you can do anything you want. That was 50 years ago.
I don't think that's a recipe for success, even for a young player. And he keeps making mistakes. Oh well, you if he was a vet and made a mistake, you wouldn't do nothing. Then he'll throw a pick. You didn't take him out. I mean, because he's got a history and a pattern, right? As a veteran player, being in the league, 10, 11, whatever years it is. You say, well, this guy's just getting started. If you've already traded a couple pieces, that shows you where your thought process is right now. Let him go. And by the way, I don't want to see this crafted offense that fits Will Levis. Maybe you like the plays he likes, you'd run more.
Right.
But I want to run the offense. See if he's an NFL quarterback from this point forward. We talking about Malik Willis. I don't want to see a crafted, offense that is high schoolish for me. Run the offense. If he can't run the freaking offense, he don't need to be out there.
What are we even doing?
Would Ryan Tannehill be the emergency third quarterback?
Oh, it could be. He could be that guy.
Because it seems like they're going to try as hard as they. I mean, obviously he's probably not going to play.
He was in a cast last week. He said today. Tannehill said, I was in a cast last week, then I was on the roller in a boot, and now I'm in a shoe.
With a sleeve.
With a sleeve.
Yeah, we
because
saw it.
They've had an emergency third quarterback every game with Will Levis.
Great point. I think that's what he'll end up being.
Yeah.
If I was guessing, and I have
it'd
no
have
inside
to be some kind of emergency.
Yeah.
If his ankle's all messed up. All right, let's continue this discussion on the other side. John in Clarksville has a question he wants to throw in the mix. We heard from Vrabel today. We heard from Tannehill today. There's a lot to get to. We'll get to it all next.
Gang.
You are running out of time. You're ready to make your lake property dreams come true. You are running out of time. Do you hear me? Because there's an awesome property release, and it's coming, and it's Saturday, October 28th, which the last time I checked is Saturday. This is great deals on lake property. This is about 20 minutes from Knoxville. They got financing available. And it's not just the sleepy lake experience. You can have that if you want, but you want to go on the walking trails or the clubhouse or the marina or any of that stuff or coffee shop. Guess what? You can have all that too. Modern living, kicking back at the lake. It is the best of all possible worlds. So why don't you call and secure a private tour? Check this property out for yourself. Check out all the great deals. Times are limited. Man, you've been dreaming about life on the lake. I know I have. Best summer of my life. Long story. Family lived on the lake. Would give anything to have it back, and you can have it now, but you got to call. You can call 865-408-9992, or better yet, go to lakelivingtn.com now for more information. It's time to invest in something real. It's time to invest in Lake Living. Blaine and Mickey, what's going on? We're halfway through the Hump Day show on Wednesday. Good to have you with us. Wherever and however you are listening, you can follow us on social media at Blaine and Mickey on Twitter, on Instagram. We'd love to have you. Appreciate you listening, no matter where you're listening or how you are listening today. If you were listening to Mike Vrabel earlier, he was asked about quarterback stuff because Ian Rappaport reported this morning Will Levis is going to start at quarterback versus Atlanta. Now, Vrabel said yesterday if 17 can't go, we'll see both of the other quarterbacks. That was yesterday. So today, Mike Vrabel spoke again. He was asked by one of the reporters there, Blaine, who said, hey, man, there's a report out there you're going to start Will Levis. He said, I never said that Levis was starting. Then he went down the rabbit hole of, well, we probably use – no, he didn't say probably. He said, we're going to use both quarterbacks. Then he went down all these scenarios. We could alternate them on plays or series, or this guy could get some time, and then this guy could get some time. And we spent the last hour, we finished the first hour of the show talking about that. I would ask you this, though. What is the advantage of saying all that stuff? I mean, are you trying?
I mean, you know, they're preparing for 3 quarterbacks.
That's it.
Now, one of them you've never seen, so they're not really preparing theoretically for – I mean, you've seen him in preseason, but we all know that that's not the same. So you can see some of his habits maybe, but, you know, well, I would say the Bears game in preseason.
Yeah.
And you may go back and have to watch film a little bit of Malik, which he played 2 games in a regular season game, which they changed the offense or, you know, downsized the offense for him. So – I don't think there's a lot there. You have to ride on actually the scheme and the system that they run and assume that every quarterback can fit in there. Now, do some lean on doing different things more than the other, like Malik Willis running the football? Yeah. So you may have to put in, you know, some form of spy or something like that for the quarterback. But other than that, no, you prepare for that offense. And by the way, they do have a guy that's called the King. That's what you better be prepared for. So, yeah, regardless of what they've shown this year, and Tajay Spears. So, you know, and D-Hop, and, yeah, so you got to prepare for the offense. I don't think the quarterback matters, but some coaches feel like it gives them a little bit of advantage because there's extra preparation.
How would you prepare for Will Levis if you're suiting up? So they say you're on the Falcons, and you got to, okay, well, this report he's going to start. He's going to play. The coach is saying that. You go back and watch some Kentucky film?
No.
No?
No, this is a totally different offense.
Okay. Even for traits or anything, no. You just
you can get your traits from the preseason.
Okay.
Yeah, that's about it, and everything else you write on it. So I'm not really delving into who's a different quarterback when I haven't seen. There's not a lot of data of NFL reps of players. So you ride on just the offense.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's it.
Well, one thing to note though is Levis can throw it anywhere, anytime.
Yeah, you'll see that he can make all the throws, but can he make all those throws with our front, which they don't have some stout front that gets after, but their defense is ranked, I think, in the top 10 this year or somewhere thereabout. It's not that far off in totality as a defense. So,
no, I think you're right about that.
So they'll feel like they just play everything straight up and honest and make sure you curtail the King and Spears, and then everything else happens off of that on the run game to the pass game. And you know who Vrabel is as a coach. So what he leans towards, and, you know, they've been a little open. Maybe you go back and watch a little bit of film when they first played, like Mills when he was with the Texans, and our OC was the OC at the time. See if there's some correlation to that. But, yeah, Levis has all the skill set. There's a reason why he went second round, so you can't really – but you see that he's not a – you know, he can run, but he's not a runner. Mm-hmm. He's a big arm. He can make every throw type quarterback. So you prepare for that.
Let's prepare for John's call. He's calling from Clark's Vegas, as we learned yesterday. It's Clark's Vegas. John, thanks for calling all the way from Vegas, man.
Hey, guys. How are you?
Good.
Good.
I want to know, why in the world are the Titans always so screwed up? I mean, it's enough. This is enough.
Oh.
It is really enough. I mean, why is it always, you know, a rebuild? We get a year here, a year there, a rebuild. Why is that?
Well, I don't know if that was a true statement. A year to year. I mean, last year they were fighting at the end to a playoff bid. So if they would have won, they would have been in. And then before that, then it was Vrabel who, I mean, even after Malarkey, they were in the playoffs, right?
I think it was, 6 straight years. They had a winning record, and 4 of those they made the playoffs.
Yeah, so this is kind of this was the kind of in-between year once you hired a new GM and you're trying to facilitate transition from Tannehill to Henry to all your superstar players to now continue to win and compete and have a shot in the AFC South since it's not probably one of the tougher divisions, and think you can do that half with young players and some of those superstar players who are still producing. I thought they were trying to meet it in the middle of the road and could squeak in, and if staying healthy most of the time, squeak into the playoffs.
Yeah.
Winning the AFC South. But right now that doesn't look like, at least early on here, that can happen. And what makes me say that is because they just don't, the offensive line. You're already moving pieces in and out, and then putting a young quarterback behind all of that. Man, I just think that's asking a lot to think that now that they're going to be pushing. But, who knows? We shall see, because we don't know who's available every game that they play, and they may, turn it around sooner than later.
Well, if they're going to turn, they need to get to turning, though. They're 3 games behind the Jags, and they're last place in the South. And we all looked at it. Again, we got to talking about the schedule earlier, and there's a PFF and all these people who are kind of the people who make up these metrics. They saw the Titans have second easiest schedule in the NFL for the rest of the year. Well, we looked through it. It doesn't look super easy. You got to go to Pittsburgh on Thursday night after you play. Atlanta's first in their division. Then you go to Pittsburgh on Thursday night. I don't care if they're last in their division or hadn't won any games. I don't want to play at Pittsburgh on Thursday night or any night in Pittsburgh. No way. Then the next week you're on the road again. You have the Bucs. Bucs are 3-3. They've been first place in the division until they lost to the Falcons.
And I would have bet before the season that was going to probably be a win.
Oh.
And right now it's I don't know. It'll be an interesting one. Then it's on the road.
You want to chase Chris Godwin around all afternoon? I don't.
I'll be hoping Baker Mayfield go back to Brown Baker Mayfield. Because he's playing pretty decent.
Yeah, Nick says 5 of the last 7 are at home. That's true. But you have to get through 3 on the road, too, before you get to that. Because I figured out it's one true road game over the span of, it was 50 days or something. Yeah, because England was a home game, but it's not a home game. Yeah, this is it.
They definitely got screwed.
Falcons. They got screwed.
The Titans are notorious for getting down to that last couple games and that being playoffs or no playoffs, those last couple games. I don't know if that's good. I think you'll know several weeks before that last couple games. It'll start with this road stretch.
One of my biggest questions in the world is, let's say something happens and they beat the Falcons on Sunday and they're 3-4. There's still 2 days until the trade deadline. Well, there's a day and a half, essentially. Mm-hmm. Do you think winning that game will affect their plans in any way? Shoot, we're 3-4. Or it's
now you telling me to think for them?
Yeah.
No, I definitely don't know what they're thinking. So
that is not my job.
Yeah, that definitely. I couldn't even tell you what they're thinking. My premise is all along been trying to move forward. And think about this. When the Predators last year going into this season kind of made a transition, they were honest and upfront saying, we're rebuilding.
Yep.
Hopefully you come out, support us, and we think we'll do the right things and we'll get the right players and we'll keep it moving and you'll be happy with the product. I think that's what the approach the Titans should have took.
They almost made the playoffs, too. The Preds did.
Yeah.
And they sold off people all season long. In hockey, they just started selling. They sold until they couldn't sell anymore. Well, guess what? The dudes who are left behind, they played their butts off.
Because the year before that, they kept trying to fight that they're in transition, and it just wasn't going to work.
Nope.
So, see, here go Levis right there showing highlights of him throwing the ball in preseason against the Bears. So I think I would probably – and I know it's hard to admit, but now the season's got started. You got your season ticket holder, so whatever happens, happens. So I would be like, hey, if it goes down the road, as Joseph was talking about after this road, here the next 3 road games, and if they're out of it, you got to say it now. You have to. Yeah. So then you get some empathy from your fan base. And then we all know that could be trouble, too.
Well, Jordan Dajani is never trouble. He is set to join us next. Let's get to Titans. Let's talk NFL headlines with the man who covers the NFL from CBS Sports. That is next on Blaine and Mickey.
There are a lot of diagnoses out there, and there's a pill for everything. But not all diagnoses are accurate, and not all pills are good for you. Hey, it's Blaine Bishop. And when you get a diagnosis for European Auto Repair, you get a second opinion before you make a major decision. And Eurofix is the home for second opinions. Before you spend hundreds or even thousands of dollars on European vehicle repair from a diagnosis, go to Eurofix. It could not only save your vehicle's life, but could actually save you from a lot of stress that ruins your weekend as much as it will save you a lot of moolah. And life's too short to get stressed out and be angry. So be happy and go to Eurofix. And at Eurofix, you get a free 15-minute no-wrench inspection with an estimate at every visit. Not high-pressure sales tactics like most. And at Eurofix, you get a 3-year nationwide warranty and a free loaner car with every repair appointment. And at Eurofix, you never pay dealer pricing because why? Because they're the best in the business, and that is Eurofix. Located in Franklin, Hundred Oaks, Murfreesboro, Belmead, and now Mount Juliet. And all you have to do is just give them a call at 844-EUROFIX. That's right, 844-EUROFIX, or you can visit them online at myEurofix.com. That's myEurofix.com. But I always tell them Blaine said you.
"40 years ago, we opened our doors with one mission in mind.
We'll be right back with the top 10 songs of 1983.
To sell quality American-made vehicles at a fair price.
You have arrived.
And we've loved every minute of the ride. Celebrating 40 years of Two Rivers Ford.
Blaine and Mickey, 104.5 The Zone. Jordan Dajani here for his weekly appearance in the name of love of football. JD, you look out the window in Nashville today, man. Pretty nice day. Pretty nice fall day, eh, my friend? Good to have you.
Live in Nashville, right?
What's going on, my friends? I'm doing fantastic. Yes, nice looking out the window and seeing the leaves begin to change color. Reminds me that the trade deadline is just right around the corner, baby. Thanks for having me on the show.
Well, you mentioned that. Let's just start there. Kevin Byard shipped away. What do your thoughts on saying goodbye to the mayor of Murfreesboro and then going forward, what happens here?
Oh, man, I wish there was a way to know you're in the good old days before you actually left them, right?
Yeah.
I wish we knew we were watching Kevin Byard's last game as a Titan against the Ravens. I liked Kevin Byard, man. I liked how he was a third-round pick that played above his draft day selection. I liked that he was a local product. I liked how he was a leader on and off the field, in the huddle and in the community. I liked how he had a knack for making big plays. I liked how he never missed a game. I liked how he addressed the media. And, I think the worst part about this trade, objectively, is that he's going to the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, Philly easily won the last trade it made with Tennessee. I don't know if you guys remember that one. It included some wide receiver named A.J. Brown.
I never see anything about that on Twitter, JD. I wouldn't know anything about what you're talking about.
And in terms of draft compensation, too, I think it's fair to say that Kevin Byard is worth more as a player than what Titans got in return. But that's kind of part of what the trade deadline is for the most part, right? I thought that maybe a fourth rounder could have been included in the deal. The Titans didn't get there. But it's fascinating to talk about now because here we are. Are the Titans going to be full-time sellers? I guess I'm excited to see what happens next.
If anybody goes next, who do you think it would be? Or bodies?
So I think that we should keep an eye on cornerback Christian Fulton. I don't know if that's something that you guys have been discussing over the past couple of days, but I would keep an eye on that. He of course, plays what I would describe as a premier position on an expiring contract. Another team could get a look at him before they have to make a decision on his next contract. Another player that I've been telling other radio shows that could be a surprise mover would be DeAndre Hopkins, someone who signed with Tennessee, looking to contend for a division championship, set themselves up for a spot to potentially make a playoff run. Of course, the Titans season has not gone according to expectations. They're sitting at 2-4, last place in the AFC South. That has me wondering if DeAndre Hopkins could be on the move to a contender. And I bring that up as kind of a surprise player because I feel like maybe the national media is not talking about him as much as I maybe anticipated they would be. And then, of course, we can talk about Derrick Henry. But he plays the position of running back. He's on an expiring contract. He's not exactly a spring chicken either. So it really comes down to what Tennessee would judge as fair compensation for his services. I know you've probably seen all the reports on Twitter, all these aggregator accounts, which are the bane of my existence, saying that everyone's called about Derrick Henry. I don't know if that's true or not, but I'm not ready to say that Derrick Henry is 100% going to be gone by Halloween.
Jordan Dajani, he won't be gone by Halloween. He'll be out trick-or-treating and coming back with us same time every week in the second hour of the Wednesday program at Jordan Dajani on Twitter.
Well, Jordan, I'm always going to ask you, since the Titans seem to be somewhat sellers here, where are the Titans overall as a team in your power ranking?
No, I mean, they've fallen from around halfway up the power rankings to mid-20s if I was creating a power rankings right now. I mean, I don't even think we could argue that they're not the worst team in the AFC South right now. I mean, you could make a call that the Jacksonville Jaguars continue to win games. The Indianapolis Colts have been surprisingly competitive, and the Houston Texans have the favorite to win the Offensive Rookie of the Year in quarterback C.J. Stroud. The Titans don't exactly have a lot of optimism surrounding them on either side of the ball right now. And then, of course, you have to factor in the Ryan Tannehill injury, right? And that is something that if I was making a power ranking, that would drop them further down my list because I would imagine that Ryan Tannehill misses Sunday against the Falcons, and then we'll kind of have to judge when he could potentially return. And that's important to note, too, because unfortunately this injury occurred right at the trade deadline, which could push new general manager Ray Carthon in one direction of being a seller at said trade deadline and kind of reshifting his focus for the rest of the 2023 season. So, yeah, unfortunately, the Tennessee Titans are not going to debut very high on my power rankings if I was creating something.
All right, since we're talking about trade, the last thing about trade, and not just with the Titans, I'm just talking about across the league. What trade would you like to see happen? Or maybe there's multiple.
Yeah, that's a great question. To be honest with you, the Kansas City Chiefs made a trade for a wide receiver a week ago in McCole Hardman, bringing back a familiar face from the New York Jets. But I still think they need to do more. I think they would be wise to go and acquire someone. I'm not going to say Jerry Jeudy or Cortland Sutton because they already reside in the AFC West. Swinging a trade for one of those guys would be pretty tough. But what about someone like Terrace Marshall Jr., Paris Campbell, Hollywood Brown from the Cardinals? I think that Kansas City still needs to make a move at wide receiver because too often that passing attack does feel like it's Travis Kelce versus the world. So, just as an NFL fan, I'd like to see the Chiefs add on to their offense because that would be something that would absolutely make them the favorites for the Super Bowl, even though they already are the favorites in Vegas for the Super Bowl. One other thing I would bring up for trades I would like to see happen, we saw the Detroit Lions get boat raced by the Baltimore Ravens this past week, and this was, presumably the hottest team in the NFL, legitimate contenders, everything like that. But I've been kind of holding my horses on the Lions because they've suffered significant injuries on the defensive side of the ball, especially in the secondary. When you're talking about C.J. Gardner-Johnson, when we're talking about Emmanuel Mosley, I think the Detroit Lions would be wise to go out there and acquire someone who can immediately contribute on the back end of the defense, whether that's Jalen Mills, Jabril Peppers, maybe Justin Simmons from the Denver Broncos. If you want to truly fully hop on the Detroit Lions hype bandwagon, I think that they need to make a trade on the defensive side of the ball before October 31st.
No doubt about it. We on with Jordan Dajani, NFL writer for CBS Sports. Naturally, the Titans play the Falcons, and I don't know the rules, but I know Robinson was held out at least some portions of the game, but it wasn't reported to the NFL, but I think before the game. So what is the actual proper procedure when something like that happens? Because, and will they get fined for that?
Yeah, this is actually a really good question. Ultimately, to answer your second question first, I don't think they're going to get fined. If it's my opinion, I don't believe they're in trouble. But the NFL is asking questions about why Bijan Robinson was not listed on the injury report on Sunday morning. And I learned this from our insider, Jonathan Jones, that even if someone is injured, let's say Saturday night in some kind of freak accident, they have to be listed on the injury report as questionable or out or whatever it is, just an updated report so everyone is in the know. But the biggest difference here is that they had no doubt, even though Bijan Robinson was sick, they had no doubt that he was going to suit up and play. So because of that, I don't think he had to be listed as questionable because there was no second thought as to if he was actually going to play. Now, he only did play something like 11 snaps. He certainly did not play as much as many people were anticipating, probably even the Falcons coaching staff themselves. But the bottom line is that he did play and that his status for game day was never in question. So that's why I don't think the Falcons are going to receive some fine from the NFL, but we'll see what happens.
And I don't bet on games or any game, but how does that work? Even with fantasy, they didn't know he wasn't going to play and they probably picked him to play. So that kind of wrecks shop with all of it. It doesn't matter, right? Or does it?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, in terms of fantasy football, I think Bijan owners just had to bite the bullet and finish with their 0.8 points or whatever they got on Sunday. But, sports books, they sometimes can march to the beat of their own drum. I've seen some sports books be pretty forgiving with weird circumstances when it comes to player props or games in general. So, I don't think I saw anything. Maybe if it was true, I would have seen something on social media, but I don't think there was a sports book that refunded tickets for Bijan Robinson props, if you will.
All right, and one more here. I'm wondering if this was a prop or a bet anyway. Troy Aikman, and he performed well, said Kirk Cousins is a top 10 quarterback. And he played superb after he said that. And I'm like, oh, well, maybe he is. Do you think Kirk Cousins is a top 10 quarterback? I don't know. If he is, he wouldn't be a free agent after this season.
Hey, man, his performance against the 49ers may have the Vikings starting rethinking about what their future plans could be. And to be honest with you, it always seemed like Kirk Cousins was on his way out after 2023, but I was always leaving the door open. I mean, Kirk Cousins played some good ball in 2022. It was very possible that he did the same this year. Now, of course, he really did get off to a slow start, and that's why there was so much noise around his name with the approaching trade deadline. But yeah, I think that if you wanted to power rank quarterbacks, I absolutely think that Kirk Cousins could be in the top 10. I get that he's not the most mobile guy, but this guy is really accurate throwing the football down the field. And you saw that chemistry that he created off the bat with the rookie wide receiver, Jordan Addison, who was taking the lunch money of every single defensive back in the 49ers secondary. It was just wild to see. Yeah, if you want to tell me Kirk Cousins is a top 10 quarterback, I have no problem with you saying so.
Jordan Dajani, our guest at Jordan Dajani, CBS Sports. So Jim Irsay, in Jim Irsay's world, he wants to make all calls reviewable in the final 2 minutes of games. There's no way that Pandora's box gets open, right?
After his guy got called for interference. Oh, that was
100%. That's, yeah.
I think it's a good question because I really don't know if that opens Pandora's box, because I think that Jim Irsay is like every NFL fan that wants consistency with calls. But even more than that, everyone desires the right calls to be made on the field. And I don't know why we can't have an eye in the sky who can just radio down no matter what the situation is and just say, yo, that's the wrong call. We need to reverse this immediately. And then we move on with the game itself. And I really do think that this is going to be a conversation point until something changes. And something that I'll point out to your point is that the NFL, to me, likes to have this kind of traditional reffing, for lack of a better description, right? Where they have these officials making judgment calls. Because remember when we made all pass interference reviewable a few years ago, the NFL didn't want to go back on their original calls for the most part, even in situations where it appeared they got the call wrong. We rarely saw those penalties reversed. And, if I could speculate for a second, putting all these plays into slow motion, I think greatly affects your perception of the play, right? A tug of the jersey at game speed can be allowed in a ref's eye when it happens, but when it's slowed down, it looks more like a holding call. In my opinion, I think it should open Pandora's box. I'd like to see some change when it comes to officiating in the NFL. And there's a lot of different routes you could go with that, whether it's making different calls challengeable, whether it's having the eye in the sky like I talked about. But again, the NFL has seemed kind of hesitant to make a lot of changes when it comes to the officiating process itself.
Well, you mentioned the eye in the sky. That was literally the next thing I had written down. You have the USXFL, and one of those leagues, now it's both, which I've been waiting for because I'm going to be co-commissioner with The Rock. But one of those leagues, I can't remember, I think it was the USFL, had the eye in the sky. And so they could, in real time, at the end of one game, they called a hold, and it was going to cost a team from a late score. And the eye in the sky said he didn't hold them at all. You missed that quarterback. And they kept it moving. So I think you should use the USXFL combined as a test league for officiating, but stuff like that's shown to work, just do it.
You know what's so funny? I was on the radio this morning in Calgary, up with our friends up north, and they asked me the same question. They're like, well, we do this. Why can't you guys do that? And I just said, I don't know. I think it's a great idea. I think we absolutely should have this eye in the sky, and we can just correct any kind of call in real time. But again, I feel like the NFL just really likes to hold on to this traditional officiating. That's the only thing I can point to. But I'm with you. I think that anything we adopt, anything we change for the officiating process itself that leads to not only more fluidity with the game, but also just more correct calls, more consistency in general, I can jump fully on board with.
Jordan Dajani always on board with us on Wednesday afternoons, and hour 2 at Jordan Dajani on Twitter, CBS Sports.
Well, I'm going to talk about records here before we close out here, Jordan. That is, do you think Tyreek Hill will be the first wide receiver in NFL history, as Mickey told me, to ever have 2,000 yards? Do you think he can accomplish this?
And win MVP at that matter.
Ooh, yeah.
Yes, I think Tyreek Hill will become the first player to cross 2,000 receiving yards this season. I feel like this is I even wrote this article before the year saying that, is it possible he could do it? He's that fast. He burns defensive backs down the field. He can absolutely do it. And now it's becoming a legitimate talking point. I don't know if you guys saw the the video on social media, but there's a teacher, I think, in Miami teaching kids math based off of Tyreek Hill's receiving stats. I feel like this is something that Mike McDaniel could fully jump on board with, because feeding Tyreek Hill the ball in any instance is a wise decision to get your offense going. So I think he's averaging 129 receiving yards per game right now, which is absolutely wild. He's up to 902 receiving yards, 7 touchdowns in 7 weeks. I think Tyreek Hill is absolutely on record watch. In terms of the MVP race, yeah, I'm even more on board with giving him the MVP. I'm kind of sick of this becoming a quarterback award, right? I mean, everyone has Patrick Mahomes as the MVP favorite. Yeah. I think it should be someone like TJ Watt or someone like Tyreek Hill who gets the MVP award. So, yeah, I think if he crosses that mark, he's going to have a great chance of winning that award, which, again, I think would be very cool to see.
Well, lastly here for me, and that is what caught my attention, is that Roger Goodell, the sheriff, has made $700 million to be the NFL sheriff as commissioner. Will Roger Goodell be an owner of an NFL team when it's all said and done?
Wow, that's a great question. And yeah, that sounds like a great job. I want to be Roger Goodell when I grow up, that's for sure. But I'll say this, I'll say no. I don't think he'll be an NFL team owner. I think that he has served the NFL fairly well. He's guided the NFL through some tumultuous times as the leader, as commissioner. To see him owning a team in the league would definitely be pretty surprising to me. I think he goes probably a different route whenever he decides to hang up the clipboard or whatever commissioners do. Again, Roger Goodell is someone who's been kind of a mainstay in the league, but I don't think that he would switch roles whenever he decides to stop being commissioner.
There you have it. Jordan Dajani, NFL writer for CBS Sports.
Hey, just real quick on the way out, how excited are you to see these Oilers throwbacks on Sunday?
I'm very excited. It's going to be exciting to see Malik Willis and Will Levis play quarterback with the Oilers with these, and apparently they're going to run in plays, right?
Yes, of course. I think he was joshing us, man.
I told my coworkers, I'm like, that's Mike Vrabel just joking with you guys. There's no way that's going to happen. But to answer your question, man, I've told you guys I'm a little bit biased, but I really do like these jerseys. I think they're the best throwback uniforms. I'm extremely excited to see them. And I think it'd be really cool if Will Levis, showed fans a glimpse into the future of what the future for Tennessee could potentially be like with a win over Arthur Smith and the Atlanta Falcons. So I know the Titans will look really good on Sunday. Let's hope they play like it too.
Atlanta, Tennessee, Falcons Sunday here in Nashville. JD, great stuff as always, man. Always great catching up with you.
Appreciate you guys as always. Thank you.
Yes, sir. CBS.com. Tons of NFL content always there at Jordan Dajani on Twitter, Dajani. You can follow him there. All right, when we come back, practice notes from today, including stuff on a couple of starters, including one that's probably going to make Blaine nervous. We'll tell you all about it next. Yeah. Blaine and Mickey, 104.5 The Zone. Happy hump day to you. From Teron Davenport just a couple of minutes ago, hot off the press. TD said Wednesday practice report ahead of the Falcons game. So Traylon Burks and Elijah Molden and Tier Tart and Luke Gifford returned to practice. That's good. I would think you could use the services of all of those gentlemen for various capacities. No sign of Ryan Tannehill ankle. They said earlier today he wouldn't practice. No sign of Josh Wiley, who's concussion protocol still after the big hit he took several days ago now against the Ravens. Aaron Brewer, it says, neck was in a yellow jersey. It's your starting center. He was in a yellow jersey. No content. Can't hit him. This has my attention the most. What caught your attention? This. Roger McCreary left early with a trainer.
Oh,
come on, man.
No.
Come on, man.
He's been the most consistent player. Oh, no.
Left early with a trainer.
No.
Yeah. I said that might make you a little bit nervous. That makes me a tad bit nervous. I mean, it could be any number of things. But I don't want to play anybody without him. I don't want to play anybody without him.
Man. Oh, that hurts. I need to look that up with Teron, man. Make sure that's true, man. I got to see it.
Also, Jimmy Wyatt had reported something very similar. Let's see. Jim Wyatt, his practice report, post-practice. Roger McCreary left the open portion of practice early. And that Ryan Tannehill and Josh Wiley didn't practice.
Right.
So and for people who wonder, like, okay, I'll just say this. The reporters, they practice during our show, so we can't go. But I've been to a lot of practices. We don't get to see much of practice. It's not like they're out there doing anything that looks like a scrimmage or anything, and we get to see it. When they're saying the open portion of practice, that's all the individual stuff, stretch and, receivers running ladder drills and the DBs doing tip drills where they throw it to Blaine and I tip it away. So this wasn't doing like team football-ish activities. These were individual things. So that makes me wonder, like, oh, shoot.
Well, I'm going to say this.
Okay.
I'm sure it was from different quarterbacks to running backs, but they show Will Levis handing off to Derrick Henry and individuals.
Did you catch that?
And then Malik Willis handing off to Tajay Spears. So doing the same drill, and they went back to back. And so I don't know if that means anything or not about who's starting or not. That could be just when they posted it. Could have went vice versa, but he still wasn't with the starting running back. Will Levis was. So hint, hint, I'm taking all hints that is what's going to happen. So come on out.
Mike Vrabel he got asked yesterday about that. If Tannehill can't go, what are you going to do? He said they're both going to play. So then this morning we all wake up. Blaine had been up for like 6 hours, but it was closer to the wake-up hour for the rest of us. And so Rap Sheet puts out that, hey, this is what I've been told. Will Levis is going to start. So somebody put that out there. So then Mike Vrabel stands up today and somebody asked him, and I'd give credit, but I don't remember who did it. Hey, man, there's a report that Will Levis is going to start. I said, well, I never said that. I never said that, which is true. He may have never said that. But then he gets the follow-up question, and we played the audio earlier. It's like, okay, well, what would you do then as far as how are you going to play both of them? I don't know. Could be rotate them on plays, let them take the plays in. Could be rotate them series. Look, man, I never played quarterback in the NFL. You played in the NFL a long time. Joseph never did. But if I know anything, I know this. They all say it. I can't get in a rhythm if I go out. I can't get in a rhythm if I make a mistake and then you pull me. You went into a long talk about this earlier, and I know the clock's running out on us for today, but all I can think of is this. Maybe the thing about Levis, okay, you like you just said, Derrick Henry is the one, and it's Will Levis taking the snap and handing it to him. Do you just say, like, okay, Malik, we have a package of plays for you, and you'll run that package of plays. Maybe it's situational, it's down and distance situational, it's from inside the team. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here.
Well, I'm going to say that's probably the route it looks like they may go if Will Levis starts. I would prefer that, and then they have a package. When I say package, though, it's going to be different than quarterback package. It's going to be some gadgetry to it,
yes,
or him running the football or something to that effect. So, a lot of coaches try to put in packages so they can play certain players, whether and so they can say that they're playing them, and then we got to see them, and then those are plays that outside of the scheme of what you do normally. I just think this is all gamemanship. I think Will Levis is the starter. I think that's what we're seeing here.
Well, depending on what you think about this future or not, you are going to see on Sunday, at least at some point.
I'm excited about seeing Will Levis, to be honest.
You'll see Will Levis, and you'll see Tajay Spears, and you'll see Burks, and you'll see Chig. That's what it's all going to look like. Yeah. But a lot of these young cats, hey, man, it's go time. Yeah, young people.
I know Burks usually takes a little bit, game or two to get back to the flow. Right now, when you get back out there, the flow starts now, bro.
Yeah. Go with the flow.
Yeah, let's go. We're going to get you the rock. Let's go.
And it's time for us to say, let's go.
So in the meantime.
In between time.
Peace.